It is 2020, not too far from a possible plague, and holy shit, yeah, these wars are horrible as usual. Let's go over some of the highlights. First of all, I think the Soviet Union was the most screwed by this, considering, Japan got all of this, along with Manchukuo, Finland got all of, Netsia and everything, and the Soviets were just left with the Black Sea down here, which I also gave Romania and Bulgaria, since they probably weren't going to do much. Yes, for some reason, the Baltic states still submitted to the Soviets, despite the Soviets not being able to get to them, so then when they started up their winter war with Finland, they couldn't reinforce it, and Finland just took all of it, and I guess Finland is also down here in Georgia and Krasnodar. Why? Yeah, Ukraine is here, and then Soviets are just randomly scattered across some of the rest of the territory, their capital in Rostov. Looks like Germany is also back, and if you're wondering why I partitioned Germany at first, well, that's because the Alpine Federation, even if formed by Switzerland, also counts as Austria. Basically, Germany could just Anschluss all of it, and then probably collapse due to not being able to garrison all of it, and then defeat the whole purpose of this video. Also, former Yugoslavia's a mess. Why does Yugoslavia only exist in Montenegro? And why did you have to make such border gore out of Greece like this? Yeah, seems like the Alpine Federation, yeah, they didn't do anything. They stayed neutral, haha, Switzerland neutral. But yeah, they had quite the impact on their game, since, a lot of places were just reserved to coastal provinces. But since I don't want to give everyone blue balls, let me just start some shit myself. There we go, I had Switzerland declare war on every single one of their neighbors, as well as the remaining major nations, which I may or may not have consolidated just so the game would run a bit better. But anyways, I'll see you when this is over. And now, about a year later, Switzerland has collapsed. I guess they just weren't ready to take on, the whole world. So, yeah, I may have gone a bit overboard with that one. Now, you may notice that if Switzerland doesn't actually own Switzerland, or any of the Alps, yeah, that went to Italy, but Switzerland's capital is actually in Baghdad. They were just left with, Syria, Iraq, and then Afghanistan. Of course they were left with Afghanistan, because, you know what they say, it's the graveyard of empires, so why bother invading that? And I think we should give Finland the weirdest sexy borders award, because, yeah, you can tell they're juicing. They're definitely up there in the great powers list, but at the same time, their borders are weird, mostly because of these two salients. One to capture Berlin, and then the other into western Bulgaria. Yeah, if we just cut off this part, I think it could look pretty nice. They stole a lot of Russian territory, which Russia's democratic, but 100% of the population is commie. Also, it looks like Japan apparently got some weird-ass borders, because not only did they take southeastern China, they got Laos, Mandalay, the Himalayas, and Mongolia just randomly scattered through. And then you have the Manchu Republic, which owns more of outer Manchuria than inner Manchuria, because, yeah, this part is actually Chinese, with the Republic of China, which is now democratic, and even in this timeline, I guess they got Guangzhou won, despite not being connected to it. Sad day for the Xinhua. Looks like the British are also occupying Taiwan, and the Americans in Okinawa and Iwo Jima for whatever reason. Look at that! Yeah! Albania got Kosovo! I just noticed this too. I don't know why I didn't, considering I'm viewing as Jamaica right now, so you figured I'd see it when I was logging in, but why does Japan own Panama and Costa Rica? We literally have a Japanese Central America. That is honestly a combination I would love to see. What would their architecture even be like? I guess for once, since we didn't divide up the US territory, they're not going fascist, they're still majority democratic, so I guess this timeline will be mostly the same old shit. And Canada, yeah, Canada's also still majority democratic, so that's nice. Also, it's nice to see that Harry Truman is still leading the US in 2021. I don't know how he keeps getting reelected this much. And also, how hasn't he died? Oh, looks like Ethiopia united the Horn of Africa and now has formed Abyssinia. I guess they kicked all the Europeans out, which is nice. Saudi Arabia owns all of the Arabian Peninsula, and how are they going communist? Doesn't make sense. What, are the Ba'athist taking control? Also, I just noticed this, but the Philippines is still a US puppet, but is somehow fascist. Okay then. Also, I really don't get the point in putting the German capital in Hamburg. Like, the majority of your territory is this inland portion you stole from the Swiss. So, like, how the fuck would you even resupply all this? Also, it seems Skåne has now been given to the rightful owner. I mean, Skåne is more Danish than Swedish, so I guess it makes sense. And they don't have the Santa guy leading them, sadly. They just have this genetic portrait. They're democratic. They're part of the Allies. It's good to see Skåne is in on this. Also, I didn't realize that Korea was independent. They're led by Yi Un and are fascist. I don't know how they escaped the grip of the Japanese, Oh, well, there's our answer. They're going democratic. Oh, I see one of the few surviving fascist nations is Norway, in the South American League, along with Peru, who is the leader of the faction. Peru, who is at war with Ecuador, apparently. This is an interesting tag team. I don't know what Peru and Norway have in common, but okay. Also, I love how the Russians, even after gaining back all this land, still decide to have their capital in Rostov. It's just great. They didn't even move it to Stalingrad, despite it being a core state. I didn't remove any of their cores. I guess Rostov will live on as the Russian capital. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, we are trying to get 1.5k subs for that Islamic State video in Millennium Dawn, so make sure to subscribe for that if you haven't already, as the majority of you are not subscribed. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Matani!